Have you ever gone on a photo shoot, come home, open up your computer and load up your photos, and they're not what you expected because they look fine on the back of your LCD screen? There's bright spots in there, things are out of focus, the composition isn't right, there's something in the photo that you did not want in the photo, and you've already packed up and gone home. That's one of the worst feelings. You got home and you can't go back and do the reshoot. So after doing that once or twice, you want a way to not do that again. I created 7 steps. I'll create a printable version for you so that you can get it with a few notes to remind you what those are. I won't go through all 7 of those steps, and I go through most of them on pretty much every shoot I do now, because I've made that mistake a couple of times. I have 7 items. You may have 5, you may have 3, you may have none. But my first item and my second item I can do before I ever leave the house. So let's knock them out. Number 1 is the diopter. The diopter is a small dial on your camera. It's very easy to, it's not protected. You can spin it very easily. A diopter, if you're familiar with reading glasses, that's all it is. They're a set of reading glasses inside the camera so you can adjust your vision for your camera. Now here's a trick that many people probably do not know. When they adjust it, they're kind of looking at the scene. Instead of looking at the scene, look at the numbers at the bottom of your screen inside your LCD, and that, when it is not blurry, you know you've got it adjusted to your eyesight. Okay, the second item that you can also do from home is exposure compensation, and I just made a video a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago on that. But let's look at the back of your camera. On the back of your camera, there is a section that has exposure compensation, and you can see it numbered from -3, -2, -1, 0, then 1, 2, and a +3. It's very easy to adjust that. I answer their question in a forum many times over the years, and I also learned the hard way. Just like the diopter, you can very easily adjust this, and it's usually adjusted on the back of the screen. You accidentally turn on the Q button for the Canon. I'm sure the other ones have touch screens as well. You turn on the touch screen and you inadvertently adjust the exposure compensation, and if you don't know what that is, it's going to overexpose or underexpose your photos. So let's take a look at a photo and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to take a look at it. I right now have my exposure compensation set at a +2. If we look at that, that might look something like that. So even before you leave your house, maybe not every time, but occasionally check your diopter, make sure it is set correctly. But every time you leave the house, just take a quick look at the back of your LCD and see if you've got exposure compensation turned on, whether it's up, positive, or negative. Check it out, reset it to 0 unless you have a desire to be using exposure compensation. Okay, this next item, number 3, we're going to be out in the field, and we're going to look at the histogram. Yes, the histogram. The histogram looks like this on the back of your camera. You may have seen it once or twice and figured out how to shut it off and didn't like it. Well, you need to start liking it, because when you look at this graph, it tells you, is your photo correctly exposed? Now, it doesn't mean it's correctly exposed if it looks like this. It just means that's where the light is. You may want it to be dark. You may want it to be bright. But you need to make that decision. There is no perfect exposure. If we look at my overexposed photo, like this picture of my dog, and I don't have the histogram of this, but I bet you it was pretty much all the way to the right. So when you're looking at the back of your camera, turn your histogram on. And especially if you're doing landscape photos, you have plenty of time to look at that. You can also look at the histogram after you've taken the photos. So turn that on and check out your histogram. The 4th item on my list, still out in the field, is focus. Focus can be very troubling, especially if things are moving in and outside. If it's a static subject, use your zoom on your LCD so you can see if you're actually in focus. And you can also do that after you've taken your photos. Look, take your LCD, put the play button on, look at the photo, you pinch, or if there's a button you have to hit the plus to zoom, whichever it is, use that. So take a look at this photo I took. I thought this was in focus out in the field. You can see here on the left, I have my LCD. Looks great. When I got it back home, got it on my computer, it was blurry. If you're getting value out of this video, hit the like and subscribe. I appreciate it. So the 5th item took me forever to really learn, because you're so focused on your subject that you're trying to get the photo of to make sure everything's right, that you're not paying attention to the edges of your photo. And when you take that picture and all of a sudden there's some person in the back that you didn't even see when you're taking a picture, and if you waited 5 seconds, they would have been out of the photo. Now you have to edit it out or try to crop that person out, and it's not the photo that you really wanted now. So let me show you a photo. I did a little walk in an oxbow here nearby, So let me show you a photo I took, and I actually cropped this after because I really didn't see it when I was taking the photo. So this is a photo of a tree that's on the ground, and you can see the moss. Now there is, and this it's just moss on the tree that's going around. You can see at the top of the photo, it's just dead branches and leaves and stuff. It really distracts from the photo. And then I got that piece of grass going through it. So when I finally got home, I could have fixed this in the field if I saw it, but I didn't pay attention to it. So when I got home, I cropped it and I made it look like this. I got rid of the top edge and I cropped out the bottom so that weed goes all the way through, almost like it's a river and almost like it's an aerial shot of, some woods, and maybe it's a highway going through, but no, it's just moss on a tree. So when you're taking photos, pay attention to your edges. To me, that's one of the hardest things to pay attention to. And just like the focusing, always look at your photo after. Take a look at your photo after you've completed them and see if there are things on the edges that you really don't like. Number 6 on my list, very much like the one we just covered on the edges. And this is the background. And it almost sounds like maybe they're the same thing, but they're not. Got a perfect example here. Again, look at your photos after you've taken them and see if they make sense. This is a photo of a cormorant. I always mispronounce it, so forgive me if I'm wrong. It's a bird. This is down in Florida. You can barely tell, but this bird is actually carrying a piece of a nest. And it was only a matter of seconds that I saw this. And this one, if you zoom in, you'll be able to see the piece of straw or weed or whatever he's carrying to build the nest. So just like your edges, you need to check out your backgrounds. And sometimes it just takes shifting your feet a little bit. Or in this case, I'm doing wildlife bird photography, so I'm doing burst mode, and I am panning with it so I can get that shot. So the 7th one, we're finally at number 7. Number 7 is take safety shots. Safety shot, what is a safety shot? A safety shot is, especially on wildlife photography, if you're trying to approach a bird and you're afraid you might startle it, you get a picture before you get the actual picture that you're probably trying to position yourself for. But ideally, if you're doing bird photography, you should understand where the birds are going to be and have yourself positioned properly in the first place. But let me show you a safety shot, and this was a little bit of fun. This was a safety shot in more ways than one, obviously. This is an alligator that was across a stream, and I was pretty far from him. This is with a zoom lens, so I'm not very close to this alligator. But this was the first photo I took, and it turned out to be my favorite of all the photos of this alligator. He was huge. So quick recap, I had 7 steps. Number 1 was diopter. Number 2 was exposure compensation. You do those at home before you ever leave the house. Number 3 is the histogram. Number 4 is focus. Number 5 is the edges of your frame. Number 6 is your backgrounds to make sure you have a good background for your subject. And number 7 is to take a safety shot. And I'll give you a number 8 that wasn't even planned, and that is you're shooting digital. Take extra shots. They're free.